Great Spectre Boxing here with another video. As always, like, comment, subscribe. Also, hit the bell notification. That way you can stay updated on the latest content from the channel. Show your boy some love. All right, Dre Spectre Boxing here with another video. Let's dive right into it. Errol Spence and Mikey Garcia. I want to talk about a little bit about Errol Spence. Errol Spence recently did an interview I seen on the Boxing Voice. I'm gonna put the link of that video in the description. But on the video, he said that he does a lot of training. He doesn't use supplements. He's at all natural. He doesn't even use a nutritionist at the moment. And when he was asked about the Vada testing, I guess the mark down on the paper for the Vada testing, what supplements he used or anything, he marked nothing. So if he was ever caught with, any kind of performance enhancing drug or anything like that, he doesn't even use, like any supplements. He's old school. He says he's totally clean. And I believe him. I commend him for that. I had never heard him talk like that or say anything when he was debunking any of the PED allegations. But I'm gonna put the link to that video in the description. It was just a good piece I wanted to hear. So all that stuff about, Earl maybe on PEDs, he's doing the Vada testing. And not only is he doing the Vada testing, he said he doesn't take anything. He's old school and he trains old school, and that's just the way it is. And I like that language coming out of the camp. Now, what language I don't like was the KO language that Mikey Garcia had a couple months ago, back in January. I heard, the KO, or maybe it was December, I can't really remember. But the KO talk, that they were going to try to knock out, he's coming to knock out Errol Spence, right? And Errol Spence said in a presser, he said, man, y'all had that notion of knocking me out. Keep that same energy on fight night, right? Well, I haven't heard, I've watched probably 100 interviews by now. I haven't heard anything about that KO coming to knock out Errol Spence. I've heard no more of that talk. That shit went out the window. See, it sounded very good when you were talking about a man and you don't have to face him. But now he's in the same room with you. Now, you know what I mean? You see how big he is. And this shit of I'm going to knock you out, that shit don't look too well now, right? It doesn't look to be in your favor, right? When you can size a man up and look him in his eyes and then tell him I'm going to knock him out. Yeah, it sounded very good, but you're going to quickly find out ain't nothing sweet down here in Texas. These guys out here are ready to fight. And it's not going to be none of that, I'm going to knock you out. Them are fighting words. So we can be respectful. And we're going to say we come in, we're going to do our best. And if we get the stoppage, we get the stoppage. That's something you can say. But if you, with that notion, that big bully shit, I'm going to knock you out, you got to back those words up. You got to come with something. You know what I mean? I haven't seen you knock nothing out in some fights. So, and especially these bigger guys and taller guys that you've been fighting, you haven't been knocking them out. You knocked Robert Easter down. He got back up, fought well up until a point in which he stopped using the jab, I feel. And then you were able to take advantage with your 1-2s down the stretch. But you haven't been knocking nothing out. You know what I mean? Like, so all this power that y'all saying that Mikey's going to have that's going to transition up to 147, I think that power is like non-existent. When he fought against Adrian Broner, he didn't have that power. So what leads me to believe that at 147, he's going to be walking through Errol Spence, one of the larger 147 pounders. You know what I mean? Like, these guys are hard to knock out in these bigger weight classes. You thinking that you're going to be knocking out this top level fighters? That's something that Errol Spence has on his resume, knocking out a top fighter at 147. These bigger guys at 147, he's able to still chop them down. And I hear a lot of notion of skill. Let's go back to some of the skill, right? And saying that Errol Spence is a less skilled fighter. Like, one of the things I heard in a video I was doing on this guy's, I actually was commenting on the guy's live stream, and he was saying that Errol Spence, Mikey Garcia has better footwork than Errol Spence. And I said, better footwork. Errol Spence has the better footwork. And the reason why is because he cuts the ring off and with every step. He doesn't waste a lot of motion. He's not chasing guys around. He's actually stepping into a way that he closes the space that they have to maneuver out of the area in which he's keeping them until he corners them in the rope, and then it's go time from that point, right? And he's very patient in which he does this, and then it's calculated. So he stays out of the zone. He's not in a punch zone. He's taking a step to corner you in, and that's cutting off the ring. Mikey Garcia, he doesn't cut off the ring. What he does, he walks people down. Some of the fighters that he had a advantage in size upon, but not, he follows, then cuts, follows, then cut. Errol Spence more so cuts, then you're trapped. So it's a difference in the way that he moves in the ring with his ring generalship versus Mikey, and I think that's a skill that I would give the edge in footwork to Errol. And I've seen this. I'm gonna debunk this, right? People say Errol don't fight off the back foot or he doesn't fight well. When Errol marked up to 147 pounds, right, in his career, and a lot of these fighters that they were getting, they would get the guys that's sitting on the couch, right? A lot of these guys weren't that much in shape. So when they were coming to these fights, they were coming to these fights at 150 something pounds. 100, so they weren't even fighting at welterweight. A lot of these guys were just naturally bigger, and Errol Spence couldn't just walk down immediately. What was happening was these guys were walking down Errol Spence. And if you go back and you look at some of his old videos, you will see Errol Spence actually walking and fighting, and he's walking it, fighting off the back foot the majority of the early rounds in all of those fights until he would get these guys hurt and the tables would turn. Then he start walking those guys down. That is a skill that Errol Spence possesses. He was able to fight off the back foot, find shots. He would find angles to maneuver around the rim so he wasn't cornering himself against the rope. If you go back and look at some of these older fights, that's what he did all the time. All right, so the thought of, Errol Spence can't fight off the back foot, that's bullshit. I've seen him fight off the back foot plenty of times. And he stops and he fights in spurts. So he fights in which you get in close into range, he counters, and he know how to fight. He went to the body, and then he'll step back, step to the side, step out, from away from the ropes. So he's constantly thinking and maneuvering around in these fights. So I'm gonna debunk that notion that Errol Spence can't fight off the back foot because I've seen him do it. The other thing is saying that let's talk about speed. Mikey isn't the fastest guy, and even for when he was fighting down in his weight at 135, he wasn't the fastest guy. So you telling me that now he's moving up to 147 and he's gonna be the more faster guy? Man, let me tell you, I've seen Earl with the eye test. Earl is the most athletic guy at 147 right now, next to maybe a Keith Thurman. Errol Spence, Keith Thurman, and of course, Terrence Bud Crawford now at 147. These guys are very athletic. So to think that Mikey is going to be just coming up here and just walking these guys down, that's a crazy thought, man. And being more athletic than those guys, that is a skill that Earl is going to be checking off and way above Mikey on fight night. So I want to debunk some of that stuff, man. Like, comment, let me know what you guys think. We can debate this all day, but these guys are crazy with some of these notions. Dre Spector, I'm out.